Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The race preceding the Kentucky Derby. Race number 11 is the Grade 1 Old Forester Turf Classic. Let's take a look at this field. They're going to be traveling 1.1 miles for $500,000, and I want to begin with Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore and the number 1 DeVille. This horse won the Belmont Derby and ran a good third in the Arlington Million as a 3-year-old. The sky seemed to be the limit. I think he kind of underperformed a little bit last year, and his Arlington Million is the favorite. He couldn't have gotten a better trip and ride from Ryan Moore, and he got beat.
Yeah, it was almost amazing that he lost that race, considering the trip that Ryan Moore gave him in there. And then, of course, he bounced out of that. They tried to cut him back to a mile at Woodbine. Boy, he was just bad in that race, giving it up. We'll see what happens. Obviously, there's a chance that he could just come back a better horse this year as a 5-year-old, but I'm sort of with you. I thought overall he was a disappointment last year, and I'm not so sure how I want this horse at a short price.
I think the good news for fans of DeVille is that he is unlike many European horses in that he has some speed. Yeah. He's tactical. He draws a really nice inside post, and I think he gets a similar trip as the second Arlington Million here. We'll just see if he's good enough. The morning line favorite, as you can see, hey, it's trained by Chad Brown, the number 10 Beach Patrol, and this horse deserves to be the favorite. He's 5-2 on the morning line. Boy, Chad got him good last year. 7 starts. He banked $1.7 million here in triple-digit Buyers speed figures in all of those races. And I thought, all things considering, in the Breeders' Cup Turf, a race that's already produced 5 next-out winners, that was a pretty fast pace. And he was up close to it. He battled it out all the way down to the wire against Talismanic. He wants to beat you, this horse. The question is Chad going to have him ready off the layup, or is this just a prep race for a big 2018 campaign, culminating right here at Churchill Downs in the Breeders' Cup?
I wonder, especially because they're starting him off, and obviously Chad sort of concentrated on longer races with him last year, and that's when he really got good. He ran unbelievable in the Breeders' Cup last year. That was a really tough beat for him. I mean, he's just a good horse. I mean, basically every race he ran last year as a 4-year-old, if he shows up and runs that on Saturday, he's probably just going to win. He's the best horse in here. We'll see if Chad's just giving him a race.
But the layoff is a concern at a relatively short price. But I think we'd agree that he's probably the horse to beat on his best. The Timeform U.S. pace projector, Mike Beer takes exception with, and I kind of agree. We've got Kurilov, the number 3, out there on the lead. I would probably take book that the 2 Shining Copper is going to go to the front, much as he did when he wired the River City Handicap over this course and distance back in November. He won the Fort Lauderdale in gate to wire fashion 2 starts back, but only because Heart to Heart missed the break.
Yeah, Heart to Heart didn't break and then didn't put any pressure on this horse, really. So he took advantage a little bit. But I mean, he's on the lead in this race. I get it. Kurilov has been in some fast-paced dirt races. It all plays into the pace projector. This horse is on the lead in here, and I got to believe he's a dangerous horse in here. He won 3 in a row for Mike Maker before they tried that Barbados race that Ken Ramsey always wants to win. He couldn't quite get it done that day, but this horse is going to the front.
So let's just substitute the 2 and the 3. I kind of agree with everything else. Kurilov might be in a great spot if he is sitting off of Shining Copper, and you don't believe in Shining Copper. Kurilov is a horse that I think ultimately might want a little bit more distance than the 1 1/8, but he ran just fine in the Gulfstream Turf. He had a good trip, but he had the second best trip. The winner, Heart to Heart, had the best trip, just going out there on a fairly easy lead. He sat inside, he came out, that race has come back real live. Heart to Heart's come back to win the Makers 46 with a 105. High Happy came back to win the Pan Am with a 105. Kurilov's got tactical speed. He's also got some guy named Brown as his trainer.
Yeah, all those things add up to, to me anyway, it adds up to a relatively short price to a horse. I'm not sure that he's good enough in a race like this. I guess we'll see what happens. I do think that, maybe at the end of the day, he's just a better turf horse. I thought he was disappointing in his 2 dirt starts over here. And, all right, maybe Heart to Heart had a little bit of a better trip than he did last time, but that's what's known as a perfect trip, the trip he got in that race. And, Heart to Heart, he's maybe more of a mile or 2. I don't think 1 1/8 is his best distance. If you're going to run him down, you're probably going to run him down at 9 furlongs. This horse couldn't do it.
Michael Maker's got the speed in Shining Copper. He's got a Stalker and a Closer and Camelot Kitten. It just seemed to be going the wrong way for Chad Brown. And I had always wanted to make this horse a nice one. I didn't know if he was going to be a synthetic horse. Where was I last time out at 5-1? And I thought he ran really well over the synthetic. It wasn't a really big fast pace, and he came and ran them down. Maybe it was the confidence boost that he needed, but from a buyer's standpoint, it was the same race he ran in the Tropical Turf, the same race he ran in the Knickerbocker, and he wasn't close in any of those races.
Yeah, true enough. That was a good field he beat last time, but it was a different surface. And you're right, he just sort of ran the same race that he always runs. I think that was sort of the book on him, too, because this horse, had a really good year as a 3-year-old for Chad, but it was all overachieving. He kept getting good trips, and then he's just one of those horses who will never give in the stretch, and he didn't take a step forward last year. He just kept running the same races over and over again, and the competition gets tougher.
Bill Mott has 2 in here as well. We'll begin with the 9 Yoshida. Last seen in October winning the Grade 3 Hill Prince. He beat 4 next out winners in that spot. The runner-up, Cullen, came back to win with a 97 Beyer speed figure, and it was nice to see him get a good trip that day, because in the Saranac 2 starts back at Saratoga, he didn't get a good trip. There was a lot of buzz surrounding this horse, and they tried to cram a lot of work into him into a short amount of time.
That's true.
Maybe he comes back as a 4-year-old, just as a bigger, stronger horse. I think he's going to have a good year. Whether he's going to be able to handle these off the layoff, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I think there's a real chance he takes a step forward as a 4-year-old. I liked him a lot early on last year. He sort of lost me as the season went on. I'm not sure how much I agree with you that he got a tough trip in the Saranac. He had a steady on the second turn, but while he was steadying, that's when Bricks and Mortar was up there racing Voodoo Song on the lead in there. So I feel like all in all, everything worked out for him. And he had a full head of steam in the stretch running that Voodoo Song. It looked like he was going to go right by, and then he didn't get by. I was really disappointed in that effort. It made me jump right off him in the Hill Prince, and he came back, got a perfect trip, and got it done there at actually a very good price. I think he can take a step forward in here. I want to use him somewhere, but I do think he still has something to prove.
Mott's other runner, Channel Maker, is a very underrated horse. He's a Canadian Classic winner at 1.5 miles. He won the Breeders' Stakes. He ran a good second in the Hollywood Derby to Motown. I don't know what kind of trip that was in the Gulfstream Turf 2 starts back. It just was not good at all. And Mott showed a lot of confidence cutting him back in distance and shipping him all the way out west in the Kilrow. And the wily Mott almost pulled it off because he got a big pace that he needs.
Yeah,
he came with a big run, and the distance was just a little bit short. I want you to make sense of this formulator fact, because I cannot. Bill Mott, over the past 5 years, older turf routers, layoff of what? 1.5 to 2 months in graded stakes? 2%. It's an anomaly, a number, right?
I don't even.
This doesn't make you jump off Channel Maker.
I don't even know how to interpret that formulator fact. Yeah, no, I don't care about the formulator fact. What bothers me more than anything else about this horse is I keep betting him, and he keeps losing.
He runs well every time.
Yeah, he really did. I'm with you on the Gulfstream Park turf. I liked him a lot that day, and I don't think that trip worked out. Last time the trip actually did work out, but you're right. Maybe it's just a little short for him. I don't know. I'm starting to lose faith in this horse, but I know that he's a contender in here.
Editore's going to be a big price. He's an honest horse that's hit the board in his last 5. Good effort last time out in the San Francisco Mile, but Flamboyant, a horse who hadn't won in a long time, just got the better of him that day. He's a nice runner. His figs are okay, but he's up against it, I think, against this field.
Yeah, old classy horse beat him last time. He was against In the Post twice before that. He's been keeping some good company, and he's been holding his own. I mean, he shows up, and it's just that he shows up and he runs the same race every time. And I feel like if he shows up and runs that race on Saturday, he ain't winning.
Let's take a look at our top picks in this race. Before we get to Mike's top selection, let's talk about the horse that Mike's top selection beat last time out in the Muniz Memorial. That's the number 6 Arklow for the very dangerous Brad Cox barn. And last Derby weekend, he won the American Turf, so we know he likes Churchill Downs. And this is a horse that just kind of went off form in New York when they stretched him all the way out. And then something must have happened in that Hall of Fame preceding the layoff. He's come back with 2 bang-up races, and this barn, this price, a little bit of tactical speed, he's not impossible.
No, he's not impossible. It's one of the bigger prices in this race. We'll see what happens. Synchrony, he was just no match for Synchrony last time, but he was only second off the layoff there. If he comes forward again, he took a step forward in that race, he takes another step forward in this race, he's going to put himself pretty close.
And Synchrony, who was briefly on the Derby trail in 2016, finally found the surface he was bred for. His damn Brownie Points was just a really nice turf horse. And once Michael Stidham's put him on the turf, there's been no looking back. He's been so good in his 2 races at the fairgrounds, and he really seems like a 9-furlong specialist that can make his own trip.
Yeah, I love this distance for him. I love the 2 runs that he's put in so far this year in both of those races. Big runs through the stretch, and he was much the best both times. Even the 2 races that he lost last summer,
so well.
He ran great in those races. Then he had a long layoff after that. I love the way he's come back from the layoff. He is close. He's not as good as Beach Patrol, but he's close off of those last 2 races. Maybe that horse needs one. This horse is in form right now, and he can take advantage a little bit in this race. I think he's fair at 5 or 6 to 1 in this race.
And he's 5 to 1 on the morning line. Mike's going with Synchrony, 7, 10, 9, and 2. I'm just Beach Patrol's biggest fan, and I think if Chad has him at least not halfway ready, he's got to be 90% ready off of the bench to handle a horse like Synchrony, but I like his tactical gear. I'm just a big fan of this horse. I got to use him, but I'd have to use some others because of this layoff. My top 4 picks in this race are 10, the dangerous speed of Shining Copper worries me in this spot. The 7, Synchrony for Mike, and my 4th pick is the number 3, Kurla for Chad Brown. Mike's pick 7, 10, 9, 2. I'm going 10, 2, 7, 3 in the Grade 1 Turf Classic. We're creeping closer to the Kentucky Derby. Approximate post time for the Old Forester Turf Classic is 5:25 Eastern. Best of luck.